What is up, everyone? Today we are doing some Doodle Empire Middle East. So, with that being said, let's get into it. Alright. Today we're on episode number 15. Alright. So, in the last episode, we saw a lot of events relating to the, south of the world, just to put it simply. So, this was our map when we, ended, last video, roughly like this. And now let's go down south, and as you can see, Egypt used to control, well, all of this. So you're probably asking yourself, what happened to Egypt? Well, Egypt had a little to no other rebellion. It didn't go well for them. And they basically had to compromise with a bunch of rebel groups. So they lost all this land. Basically a bunch, and then a monarchy took over this part of Arabia, and then united with the Triple Kingdom. So now we have this huge new super state in Arabia. The Persians just lost even more land to the Kuwaitis. Uh, the um, the Egyptians, well, as you can see, they lost all of this. Um, so yeah, let's get into it. All right. Alright, a new nation will form up. Alright. So Egypt, what happened last episode was basically Egypt was so the agreement Egypt got to was basically in exchange for the rebellion groups not attacking them, they would basically surrender claims over all these lands. So here, here are the new borders, but the Egyptian government signed a treaty moving this border to right here. Because the new borders of Egypt. Egypt is much smaller, but let's see if they manage to see if Egypt mans to see if Egypt can get bigger and better. We'll see. In the meantime, so basically the Turkish government or the Anatolian government, they're pretty unpopular with the Turkish people. And Turkish people are like everyone except for these guys. So they basically overthrow the government, and the government retreats to here. So the Anatolians are now their own independent thing, but they're no longer governed by the Anatolian people. So we have Anatolia. Anatolia always has been a pretty old nation. This now becomes known as the Turkish Republic, and it will be given a red color. And then they also replaced Nadir. He's the leader of the government. He becomes the leader of. I'm serious. Great. Alright, I'll handle that. So the Anatolians are gonna have a new leader, and they replace. Oh yeah, hold on, wait. No, they're gonna have a new leader. So they replace the leader with a new guy. They turn it into an empire. So we have Emperor. This is his new name, Rashid. And the Turks are out for blood. The Turkish government, they will be successful in storming into Crete. However, their leader is killed during a battle to take this final area that the Cretan government controls, and he's killed. So he is replaced with his son. Right through. Perfect. Alright. The Turks will then start moving again. However, his leadership lasts a brief amount of time because basically, so he was so the older brother, he was basically in Albania, right? He was like settling the dispute, and his younger brother took the throne, but he was way too young, so they basically just forced him to give up the throne. They made him abdicate. So he's quickly replaced by his older brother. And then they will adopt a religion. and they will adopt Libyan Islam. Turkish Empire will then storm into Anatolia and will rapidly take it. They will then also storm into these Egyptian islands. They land in Greece. The Turkish government will continue to push in. No one was expecting an attack by the Turks. The Egyptian government basically sends the Turks an ultimatum, basically saying, if you invade the Albanians, we will invade you. The Turks agreed to not attack Albania, and the Albanian government will then proceed to threaten to also invade. The Caucasians take the Egyptian side, believe it or not. And if you're curious as to why, it's basically because of the fact that they really just took over the independent Anatolian government and overthrew the leader. So the Caucasians will fund the Anatolians to start to form yet another new nation. The Caucasians just are funding them because the Caucasians speak Anatolian. They're very close ethnically to Anatolia. This new Anatolian country will continue to move. They then will adopt Taoism. This is because they were the ones who initially started it. So they're just getting to the claims they want. The Egyptian government will they will then proceed to peacefully fund they'll basically fund the Cretan people to rise up. So Crete comes back. The Egyptians are using it as a military base. However, the Turkish government is successfully able to hold them off. Crete will adopt Islam. And Crete will then proceed to unite, and they unite with the Egyptian Greek state. And Crete is basically given money, and they're basically told to just slam the Turks out. And they have a split. However, the Egyptian army is successful in preventing this. Crete just constantly having to ensure the government is safe. Are you serious? Really? Finally! Oh my... I've been waiting to get an expansion for like 8 turns. But anyways, Crete will, success... Okay, you know what? Alright. So Crete, gets what they want. They did want these islands, but, their army can't because the government is way too busy doing random things. Yeah, that was like the most annoying turn I ever had. But anyways, Anatolia will have a... Are you serious? We're not letting that happen. Basically, Caucasia will, because Caucasia is basically using their navy, and they're sending supplies. So the Caucasian army is, inside of Anatolia. And, the Anatolians mostly just want control over these lakes. The Asia conflict will start. And now we have the new border of Anatolia. It looks like this. This is like roughly the Anatolian border. So technically the Anatolians reached up to here as well. This is like their core land. Like this area. The Anatolians will keep expanding. The Caucasian money is just flooding in. Caucasia will have a small expand, and they will march into Turkey for retribution for what they did. For marching into the Anatolian government before this new one rose up. The Caucasian will continue their just campaign. And they will get closer and closer to the Caucasians. Meanwhile, the Triple Kingdom will have a small expand, so they will start better unifying their lands. They're basically just making sure that their lands are stable, which is a good idea. They have a small expand. They take over this area of Somalia. And basically what happens is, so they basically are able to convince the Ethiopian government into giving them up all of this land. And the reason is because basically the Ethiopians want to be in a trade union with the Triple Kingdom, because these two are, as you can see, are very close in terms of like ports. Like these two can easily trade. So basically, in exchange for getting Somalia, the Triple Kingdom agrees to give them extremely discounted trade. And plus, the Ethiopians don't really care about Somalia anyway. They don't really care about it. So they will get all the Somalian land. That's mostly what they want. So they get it. And yeah, these are the rough quarters of Somalia now. Ethiopia, once again, they don't mind this. In the meantime, the Kuwait will have a large expand, and what they will do is they will basically start marching into Caucasia, and they basically send Caucasia a deal. And this deal is basically, they basically just want to like make their border better. So in exchange for taking up to here, the Caucasian government agrees to they both agree to have a non-aggression pact. Caucasia is heavily reinforcing its border. To get a medium expand. Just keep on moving. Wait, what? In Yemen? Where is Inner Yemen? Am I blind or something? I can't. Oh. Oh, right, I forgot this thing exists. How did I forget about that? Let me just change their color. Alright, I honestly forgot this thing existed. A new nation will form. And let's see, okay, that was weird. Where will this thing form? The answer is Thrace, believe it or not. And what happens is basically a bunch of people who want to bring back. So the current monarchy is like a parliamentary one, where basically in order to pass a law, the king has to support it, but the government can overturn it. So the king is like the president, except it goes by blood instead of elections. People in Thrace want an absolute monarchy, so it becomes known as the absolute kingdom race will form up. And they basically want to bring back the old Turkish Empire that existed. So they will start marching in the Thrace. They're taking all of it. And a certain nation is paying them because they want to weaken the Turks. And that nation is the Caucasians. Because Caucasians really want a weakened Turkey. So they will get extremely close to Said City, fully seizing it. They then fully take the strait. They take these islands. They will establish their border at this river. So these are the new borders of the Anatolians. I mean the Thrace, people of Thrace. As you can see, they've carved out quite the empire. They are led by Supreme. If I could hurry this up. As you can see, the Turkish Empire is at this point really weak, and they can't really do much. The Red Sea country have a small split, and what happens is the Triple Kingdom will basically fund small little rebellions over here. So it becomes known as rebels. The rebel group will start up. We heal. And the reason why this thing rises is because basically the Triple Kingdom wants control of these islands. So we'll see if they get them. They also want this northern territory, this northern strip. And then they will expand into it. This new government, they will invade it and basically claim that they're keeping the peace. So they managed to take over all of this. They then will start marching in because they desperately want all of this. Because they want domination of the Red Sea. A new nation tries to form, but it is not happening. The Triple Kingdom will march on, getting yet another expansion. As you can see, they are doing, well, to say the least, they're doing extremely well right now. They successfully get up to here, that's all the land they want. And they will then start an invasion of Inner Yemen, hoping to seize it all. They will build a castle right here. It will be known as Fort Alliance. And this is to honor the alliance used to have. Ethiopia is somewhat worried because they're basically their coast is right in between the Triple Kingdom. But the Triple Kingdoms would get allied to halves, so they don't really worry about it. Plus they know that if the Triple Kingdom invaded, a lot of nations would come to Ethiopia's aid. Such as, I think we all know one nation that would, Persia would, that's for sure. Persia would, Egypt probably would, because they would want this land back. The Caucasians also probably would, because that would be an opportunity to jump the Kuwaiti government. And Persia would join because it also gives an opportunity to jump these two. So if they attacked Ethiopia, a huge war would break out. So they're not going to. I think we'll go up to like 1230, I think. Egypt will have a medium expand. That's good. So what Egypt does is they will just clear off their border. This is what they do. They just want to make sure their border is cleaned up to make it easy to tell who is what. And in addition, they will also slightly adjust the border, the puppet state. And they make it so that now they invade it. And basically, this is because they don't want this thing controlling this area. So they will build a castle right here. And their plan is to just completely take this thing out. Because they realize that we can't let this thing have independence. because they don't want to risk it. The Egyptian government is successful in their invasion. They will also take a few islands from the Turkish government. They will basically say, they will threaten them, basically saying that if you want us to protect you from your enemies, then you must give us a ton of land. The Turkish government will be forced to agree to this ultimatum. And so now they'll be getting all of southern Turkey. This is quite the prize. At this point, Turkey's at this point basically just a puppet state. It's weak, and the western area will rise up, what becomes known as the Great Nationalists. Hold on. The Great Nationalist Society. And their plan is to basically just obliterate the Turkish government. And they're also being aided by a power. They make an agreement with the monarchists in Thrace to basically split the lands of Turkey. Turkish Empire is it's not looking good for them. They basically lost control over nearly all of their western lands. They're losing the south. They've lost parts of the east. Some of their central land. They've lost Thrace, their capital. So the Turks are moving their capital right here. And this city becomes known as Leo. Leodic is this the name? This is their new capital. Because that's really all they can do for now. The Turkish army is in shambles. Pretty much nothing can help them. So Egypt and their allies will continue to just force the Turks. This is like their century of humiliation. It's not very fun for them. They're forced to give up all of these islands. So at this point, the Turkish Navy is basically forced. The Turkish Navy basically collapses. They're also forced into giving up even more lands. Meanwhile, the Caucasians make their move. They get a large expand. They successfully meet up with the Anatolians. So now they are completely safe, the Anatolian government. And the Caucasians will send them an insane amount of money. And they will use this to fortify their border. And they also want to take over this western castle because they're worried that the nationalists will attack them. So they decide to just continuously weaken the Turkish government, and Anatolia is getting bigger and bigger. Caucasia now controls this, so Turkey is nearly landlocked. And then the Absolute Kingdom will start marching. And they then are successful in completely cutting them off from the sea. The Turks are now landlocked. What becomes known as the Great Partition will start, where basically a conference is held in what becomes known as so basically a conference is held in the city of Montenegro. So representatives from Egypt, Caucasia, Anatolia, the Great Nationalistic Society, as well as the Absolute Kingdom of Thrace, and the Albanians will all meet up to discuss how they're going to partition the Turks. So they decide Egypt will get all of this. The Caucasians will get all of this. The Anatolians will get, the Anatolians get to remain how they are, but basically, the Caucasians get a protectorate. The Absolute Kingdom will basically get, whatever remains. the Great Nationalist Society, they will get all of the western area. So basically all of this. The Egyptians, once again, they get up to here. Caucasians will get this area. The Absolute Kingdom will then proceed to get all of this. And then last but certainly not least, the Albanians. What the Albanians get is they basically get these islands, these free islands, from the Great Nationalist Society, and the Albanians will also get control over a few Turkish islands over here too. So now, start the division of Turkey. So let me just... That we can focus, and so now let's get into it. So, Egypt will start with their claim. They will take these two forts. They will continue to get all other claims. And in the chaos, a new nation will form. However, the various armies will set a stop to this before anything can happen. The Egyptians will get everything up to here. They also will take the capital. The Great Nationalists, meanwhile, have a medium expand, and they will also start getting their claims. They build a castle right about here. We'll have them just continue to move on. Egypt will then build a castle right here. And start to iron out their border. And they decide on roughly this. This is what Egypt gets, this huge chunk of land. Egypt will also just take over this area. Basically, Albania will get all of Greece, and the Egyptians get all of Crete. This is what they decide on. The Great Nationalists, that's all the land they want. And the Absolute Kingdom will then have a small expand, and their plan is to just get all this. The Absolute Kingdom will adopt Libyan Islam. Basically, everyone's getting their claims. Pretty much everyone is happy with this. Except for the Albanians. Albania, the only thing Albania wants is they want Gallipoli. They want this, right? So what happens is, Albania will receive this, and in exchange, the Albania lets the nationalists take more. Them and the Egyptians will let them take more of the Turkish government away in exchange for giving Albania Gallipoli. And that's mostly because Albania wants to have a fort in the area. And the Egyptian government basically says, yeah, that's fine. Albania is like, please. The Great Kingdom is like, sure. Because these guys are like an alliance, all these nations. Because they all don't want the Caucasians to like, these two have been in a Cold War, the Egyptians and the Caucasian alliances. They've really been fighting for a while at this point. Pretty much both of them have won and lost. The last war I fought in, the Caucasians won. I mean, no, the Egyptian forces won. You'll see if another war happens, then who wins. Absolute Kingdom will continue to march on. It's then decided that the Triple Kingdom will get the Turkish capital. Pretty much everyone considers them to be the new government. These are new borders. These are new borders of the Absolute Kingdom. The Caucasians will receive the rest. As I was saying, the Caucasians will receive the rest. And so now the Great Partition is complete. These are new borders. Absolute Kingdom will make sure that they've adopted Libyan Islam. The Absolute Kingdom will unite with the Nationalists to form a huge new Turkish government. And they will, the other thing they do is they also will take this small strip of land. They just make the border less jagged. These are new borders. And Egypt will fully take over Crete. We will unite with Crete, and this means that now we have this great new, Egypt is way bigger. The Albanians will take over the land that they are promised. They also will get some extra land from Egypt because they weren't really given much. Because Egypt thinks that they deserve compensation. So they get slightly more than they were promised in the treaty, which is... So they will get this extra piece of land. Two governments will finalize their borders at roughly this. These are new borders of the Albanians and the new Turkish government. They just make sure that the border is as it was agreed upon in the treaty. I should say the conference. So now we have the new borders of these guys. Perfect. Okay. So I think that's when we're gonna end the video. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, please comment, like, subscribe. Let me just change the name real quick. Let me just make sure we've loaded this. Okay, let me just make sure everything is loading properly. Okay.